living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
Having to make end-of-life decisions while preparing for the loss of a loved one can take a toll on family and friends. A living will can help relieve some of the stress and sadness, but less than half of U.S. adults have one. Welcome to Healthy Living for Life, show dedicated to helping you do just that. I'm Sarah Medley, your host. Stay tuned for more on advanced care planning. Welcome back to Healthy Living for Life. Joining me today is Ramon Mercado, staff attorney with Mountain Pacific Quality Health. Thanks so much for joining us, Ramon.
Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. So let's talk about advanced directives. What are they?
Advanced directive is a broad term to describe a legal document where anybody, a patient or any person can state their wishes when it comes to medical treatment.
So what are some examples of one? What would one say?
There's a lot of them out there. There's living wills. You have what they call 5 wishes. There's a lot of them. They have powers of attorney. The list goes on. So
the advanced directive is the kind of the umbrella term for it, and then underneath you have a number of them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So why do I want one?
It's one of those documents that's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It avoids any confusion when it comes to medical treatment in case you become incapacitated. You don't want your family arguing about these decisions. You don't want doctors having no clue of what to do and potentially end up with something that was against your wishes and you never let it known.
So let's talk about end-of-life choice. So I have an advanced directive, and it instructs my healthcare provider and my family when not to give life-saving measures, for example. But tell me why I would want to do that.
Because you want to make it very clear to your treatment team and your family to respect your wishes and the directives that you put on that piece of paper. You just want everybody to honor what you want in regards to that area.
So when I think about it, one of the things I thought about is if I'm in a car accident, for example, and I'm on a ventilator, and really I'm telling my family that if life-sustaining equipment like a ventilator is needed, I may not want that, right?
Correct.
So that might be one example.
That's one of the examples. Another one might be CPR or any antibiotics or stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
So who should consider putting an advanced directive in place?
I would suggest anybody who's over the legal age to put one together. They should. It doesn't matter if you're 19 or 85. Anything can happen at any moment, but especially people that have been diagnosed with terminal illness or feel like they're at risk of death within a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. Good.
So what about a living will, and how is that different from an advanced directive and a last will and testament? So 3 of them.
Well, a living will is an advanced directive, and it is different from the last will and testament in regards to the last will and testament deals with your property, your assets, how do you distribute all your property after you die, and the living will goes into effect whenever there's a need for life-sustaining treatment. They're 2 very separate things.
Okay, so what about a living will? Is it going to interfere with maybe some emergency room treatment that I might be getting? Like, say I fall, heaven forbid, and break a hip?
Unless it's life-sustaining treatments being used at the moment, it would not affect if you have a broken bone and have to go to the hospital for that. It wouldn't.
So I don't have to worry that they're going to not treat my broken hip, as an example.
Unless it requires life-sustaining treatment, but no.
Okay. So what is the process for getting a living will?
Well, you have to be of legal age. You have to think about exactly what you're going to put in writing before you put it in writing. And once it's drafted, you can either draft it, just write on a piece of paper, or you can grab a form. There's plenty of forms. Every state has, usually the Department of Health and Human Services has all these forms. In Montana, the MSU Extension Program has a very comprehensive form. Once you get that put together, you have to sign it and have 2 witnesses. It doesn't have to be notarized, but you do need 2 witnesses on that document. Once it's signed, then you distribute copies to whoever you think might need to know this information. Your doctor, your provider. Make sure that there's a copy in the medical record. And in Montana, there's the end of life database that you can file it there.
So I don't need necessarily a doctor's advice on it or a lawyer's.
It depends. You can certainly discuss it with. You should definitely discuss it with your doctor, just to make sure that the doctor is aware of your wishes and they're willing and able to respect and honor the living will. And consult an attorney if you get to the point where you don't understand what you're doing, or if you feel confused about the legality of it, then definitely sit down with an attorney. But it's not necessary to talk to an attorney.
Good information. So we've got just a few seconds left. What family members should know about my living will?
I would go with immediate family first, and anybody who at some point you think that might be involved in these decisions, and because you don't want them to be just not understanding what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about advanced care planning, living wills, so please don't go away. Welcome back to Healthy Living for Life. Still with us, Ramon Mercado from Mountain Pacific Quality Health. So thank you. This is going to be an interesting topic as we dig a little deeper. So we ended the first segment talking about family members. So why is it important for me, for example, to talk to my daughter and son about my living will?
You just want to make him aware and that you have very precise instructions for everybody. You don't want them to think that they have any decision making, unless they have a power of attorney or something like that. But just so that they're aware and they don't have to be thinking about what to do if you have to go into life-sustaining treatment.
Do living wills ever expire?
They do not. You can change them, but they do not expire. Once they're in place, they're just there.
So should they be reviewed regularly?
They can be reviewed as regularly as you want them to. Some people do it every 10 years. People do it every 5 years. If some people do it as if their health changes drastically, they review it. It just depends on your preferences. Yeah.
So I'm going to assume the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So a living will really is a legal document.
Correct.
And it's binding.
Correct.
So whatever I say in that, my healthcare provider needs to follow it, as long as they know about it.
Correct. Well, yes, it depends. Yeah, but generally, yes, they have. It's binding on the treatment team. Correct.
So is there ever a situation where a physician might not want to honor a living will?
Yes, the provider is not bound to honor it. Some physicians might not agree with some of the items in the living will out of personal beliefs, or it might go against the hospital's policy or something like that. So yeah.
So in that situation, then it's important and incumbent upon me to make sure I check with my provider, show that person my living will and the hospital, and I don't even know who that would be in the hospital, so I'm assured they'll follow my living will. Is that right?
Yeah, I would start with sitting down with the provider and making sure that they're willing and able to abide by your living will, and if they're not, usually they will point you in the right direction, someone that will.
Is there ever a reason not to create one?
I can find a million reasons too, but I wouldn't see a reason not to have a living will. I mean, it's other than personal preferences, personal beliefs, I can't think of anything.
So what about a do not resuscitate order? Can you implement a DNR or do not resuscitate without a living will?
Yes, you can. It's a separate form. You don't need to have a living will or an advance directive to file a DNR.
So what about DNR orders? Mostly they're in hospitals, right? Are there
Correct.
other examples?
Well, there's what they call an out of hospital DNR. And that's a DNR for anything outside of the hospital setting. And that instructs EMTs or anybody on a nursing home or anybody else outside of the hospital setting to do not resuscitate. So
how would that be communicated to, say, emergency medical team?
Well, if for example, on a nursing facility, that would probably be on the record, but most states have a bracelet where, have a DNR bracelet, and that's one of the, unless you can carry it with you, but in that situation, people won't be looking and searching you for a DNR. So that's wearing a bracelet with a DNR order will be the best way to go.
Okay, and I'm assuming people could Google bracelets and could find them.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about a bracelet. I hadn't seen that for a while. So what about getting more information on helping create one? We talked about, the website. I think it was the Extension Center, so the local states Extension Center. That might be a resource. Where else could one go?
Like I mentioned, any state's Department of Public Health and Human Services will have the forms. Montana certainly does. I don't know about any other jurisdictions, because I know that MSU has the extension program where they have all the forms. There's a lot of resources out there on LegalZoom and all that Legal Shield and all that kind of stuff. They provide good services for estate planning, or just go to an estate planning attorney. They usually will have and know all the forms pertaining to that jurisdiction. I mean, an online search will give you a broad perspective of it, but if you go to an attorney in town, they'll probably help you out.
Okay, all right. So let's switch gears a bit and talk about power of attorney. So what is a power of attorney?
Power of attorney, another legal document where you designate an agent, any person, to act on your behalf in case you become incapacitated. For medical, I mean, there's financial and there's medical powers of attorney. So 2 powers of attorney, 1 medical and then 1 for our finance, right? Mm-hmm. So when we get back, we're going to take a break, Ramon, but when we get back, we're going to dig deeper into power of attorney and some other legal documents that might help us make these good financial and power of attorney decisions. So stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living for Life. With me today is Ramon Mercado from Mountain Pacific Quality Health. Thank you so much. We're going to delve into power of attorney, which is a fascinating topic. So there is a difference, I believe, between medical power of attorney and mental power of attorney. What are those differences? Well, let's just explain first what a power of attorney, how it works. You designate an agent, you sit down with them, just make sure that they understand their duties, because they're basically stepping into your shoes, and they're making decisions for you. They have access to your records. It's there's a lot involved in it, so you want to have somebody that you trust. Now, for a medical power of attorney, your agent will have decision-making power for any medical treatment once you become incapacitated. Some of them can be set up that the agent will be making decisions even if you're not incapacitated. And then you have the mental health one deals exactly with the same types of decisions, but on a mental health scope. We're talking inpatient treatment, outpatient treatment, any mental health diagnosed, stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
So what is an agent? So you mentioned an agent.
An agent is the person that you will designate to act on your behalf. So there's principal and agent. So in this case, if you're setting the power of attorney, you will be the principal, and you can designate me as your agent. And if anything happens, I will step into your shoes and make decisions for you.
For me?
For you.
Okay. So who's typically listed as an agent in a power of attorney?
Spouses are usually the go-to person for power of attorney. If the spouse is not available, somebody in the immediate family, certainly somebody that you trust, and somebody that you can sit down with them before writing the power of attorney. You sit down with them, you tell them exactly what you want done, and you ask them and get a commitment from them that they're willing and able to make those decisions for you, and that they understand their duties. Another thing to consider is you want somebody that's accessible for making these decisions. Like right now we're here in Montana, you don't want to designate someone in Florida. Because if you become incapacitated, getting a hold of them or flying them here is probably going to be a little difficult. So someone that they can reach out to, someone that you trust, and somebody that's willing to do it.
Okay. And can a medical power of attorney and a mental power of attorney be the same person?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can designate the same person for both of them. Okay.
Why is it important to have a power of attorney in addition to a living will?
The living will deals with life-sustaining treatment. The power of attorney deals with everything else. So you might have stuff in your living will that has, do not resuscitate, do not intubate, all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't deal with if I become incapacitated. I don't want to be at home. I want to be at home, or stuff like that.
So can you think of a few other examples a power of attorney would have that a living will wouldn't?
Actually, any decision that somebody can make, and if they're incapacitated, even if it doesn't involve life-sustaining treatment. Let's say someone's unconscious because they got in an accident or something, and they require surgery. It's going to take this long. It's going to, probably going to cost this much. The agent will be making those decisions.
Okay.
Do they want to? Yeah. They want to have the surgery there. Do they want to transfer to another hospital? Yeah.
That makes sense. So even signing consent for surgery, paperwork, would be done by the agent.
Yes,
in this situation.
Absolutely, and the agent will have access to medical records. It will be your representative as defined by HIPAA, so they will have access to all the records.
So this is an interesting question. I really hadn't thought about it much, but can a spouse overturn, if they're designated as a power of attorney, can they overturn or overrule your living will?
No, they cannot. Again, only the doctor can not honor it, but the spouse cannot overturn it, or anybody on a power of attorney capacity, they cannot overturn it.
Well, that's good to know, because you certainly spend a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are provider or physician orders for life-sustaining treatment? And I've heard it referred to as POLST, P-O-L-S-T. It's kind of a common term, but what is that?
POLST is probably the most misunderstood document in estate planning, I think. So just like the name says, it's a physician's orders for life-sustaining treatment. It may contain the same directions that your living will has, but instead of being a legal document, it's a doctor's order. So nobody can refuse to abide by it. It's actually the first page on your medical record if you have one, and everybody is aware of that. It's a doctor's order. It works just like a prescription.
So when you go to the hospital, most hospitals would have this form that is an order from the physician, signed by the physician?
If you filed one, it should be on your medical record.
So, so to be clear, a post would only exist in my medical record if I had a living will on file?
No, only if you had a post, and you have to sit down with your doctor and go over the post. Say you sit down with them and make your decisions known, and then you sign it, and the doctor signs it. It has your signature and the doctor's signature.
So does that have to be initiated by me, or does the doctor initiate it?
Yeah, you approach the doctor with your desire to put a post in place, and I would sit down with them and figure it out. Yeah.
So why is it important, if I already have a living will, why is it important to have a post or to have a physician order? Why is that important?
Well, these documents complement each other. You know, they have you have your power of attorney and your living will and your post. They all, as long as they don't contradict each other, they work together, and they're just an amazing tool to have for everybody, you and the treatment team.
Well, thank you, Ramon. That was incredible information for all of us, and thanks to you for watching Healthy Living for Life. And we hope you'll come back next week, and until then, stay fit, stay well, stay healthy for life. With Healthy Living for Life. Take care, everyone.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health in partnership with AARP Montana. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the Healthy Living for Life logo. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.